Oh boy, Greek perfume brands. Do you know of any Greek perfume houses? Let me know what they are. Put a comment down below. I've spoken about two of them on the channel. One of them I'm talking about today. MANOS GERAKINIS PARFUMS is what we're talking about today. And I'm going to talk to you about 3 fragrances from this house. If you haven't learned about MANOS GERAKINIS Parfums, you should definitely tune in. But if you've been watching my channel, I've spoken quite a bit about Immortelle and also Methexis, but in this video we're also going to talk about Quintessence. So find out all about MANOS GERAKINIS Parfums coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, Greek perfume houses. How many of you know any? Those of you that live in Greece probably know of several. This is MANOS GERAKINIS Parfums we're talking about today. And I've been a fan of his Immortelle, this one right here. I've spoken quite a bit about it. I also have a standalone video on Immortelle. If you're curious to learn more about it, go catch that video. But I've also spoken about Methexis, as I said. I discovered Methexis last year. Instantly fell in love with it. It's a gourmand. It's very creamy. But it also has figs in it. And not only do I get the fig fruit, I also get the greenness, the leaves of the fig tree. So those two are amazing. And then we have this oud one here as well, Quintessence, which we're going to start off with. But before I start off with the fragrances, just want to let you know that the fragrances of MANOS GERAKINIS Parfums are sold at 3 different perfumeries or stores in the States. Perfumology, Oswald, New York, and Indigo Perfumery. So hopefully there will be more stores that MANOS GERAKINIS Parfums will be sold at in the future. But we're going to go ahead and get started. And if if any of these fragrances sound interesting to you guys, definitely check out those stores or check out their online website. So let's go ahead and get started with Quintessence. In this bottle right here, this is Quintessence, launched in 2017. This is a very woody fragrance. It also has a very ambery touch, an ambery presence, and also spicy, earthy, and animalic. For me, the oud is prominent along with the amber, but this is not a sweet fragrance. When I mention amber, this amber is pretty much on the, I wouldn't say it's totally lacking of any sweetness, but it's not the sweet kind of amber that is prominent here. For me, it goes kind of on the savory side. It's dry and also resinous, balsamic, but it doesn't sweeten up too much for me. So we've got amber here, we've got oud, we've got patchouli, there's saffron, cloves, benzoin, black pepper, wormwood, and vanilla. So the fragrance is intense and uber animalic, and I feel like the saffron in here mixed with the oud creates for a leathery animalic quality. There's no mention of leather here in the notes, but I get a major leathery component here, big time. And because of this, I feel like whatever amber, whatever benzoin, whatever vanillic touches they have added in here are toned down from this overdose of oudy leatheriness that I'm getting from this fragrance. If you like the idea of Middle Eastern style oud fragrances, this is definitely one for you to try. It's overwhelming, it's very complex, and also dry and woody. And don't forget, as I said, this does have animalic qualities. So if you're not into animalics, definitely skip this one, or I would say get a sample to see what you think about it. And it definitely has animalic qualities for me, and very leathery. It's just when I'm wearing it, that's what I'm getting with Quintessence. So this is the first fragrance we're talking about to start off the video of MANOS GERAKINIS Parfums. As I said, Perfumology, Oswald, New York, and Indigo Perfumery stocks the brand. So if you guys are near those stores, you can go, smell them locally or in person. But I'm assuming they also sell samples where you can discover the brand by, getting some samples. Now, we started off with a very intense animalic woody fragrance. We're going to go right to a sweet one, which the next 2 fragrances happen to be my favorites from this house. I absolutely love them. I've spoken a lot about them, and as I was saying earlier, we do have a standalone video for Immortelle if you're interested in catching that video. So the last two fragrances, I wasn't able to find a perfume. Well, the last fragrance and then this fragrance, I'm unable to find a perfumer's name. For Methexis, I'll let you know who the perfumer is. So Immortelle to me is utilizing the note of Immortelle. That's why it's called Immortelle. So Immortelle is a very interesting note. It has these characteristics of dry leaves, shrubs, but with sweetness, and also kind of a brown sugar caramelized qualities in addition to this kind of like dry, leafy. Autumn is what I visualize with Immortelle. For me, it reminds me of autumn leaves, dry, but also kind of on the sweet side at the same time, because there is definitely those caramelly, brown sugary touches here, which is what you're getting with this fragrance. So the notes are Immortelle, cinnamon, brown sugar, benzoin, milk, sandalwood, cloves, and patchouli. Sounds like holiday in a bottle, right? And that's exactly how it wears. It starts off very spicy with the cinnamon and cloves, and that's when you're kind of reminded of something like a holiday festive treat you might be having, or this holiday smell in the house after you've been baking perhaps, or something like that. And then it develops into the Immortelle, and this is when you've, when the Immortelle appears. It takes on these kind of like qualities of the brown sugar, kind of like light smoky burned caramel smells. So it has very gourmand qualities, even though we're dealing with this flower, the everlasting flower or the Immortelle note, to create these kind of touches. So it does get milky. There's definitely a creaminess here, definitely lots of creaminess. And the fact that it has milk note as a note here, which creates the lactonic qualities, they've mixed it with sandalwood, which even amplifies the creaminess further. So what this fragrance reminds me of is cookie butter. So if you've ever purchased cookie butter or speculoos and you've kind of like mixed it, there's that creaminess, almost like peanut butter, but it's different. To me, in comparison to peanut butter, it's more like a gourmand thing. It's more like a dessert rather than, something a little healthy with the peanuts. But that's the kind of experience it is when you're wearing this one. Just like cookie butter, but very creamy, smooth, milky, lactonic, caramelly, brown sugary, and of course spicy. Really, really yummy. Definitely, if you like the idea of Immortelle, you want to learn about Immortelle and fragrances, you want to experience the Immortelle taken into the gourmand direction, this is a perfect fragrance for that. So Immortelle is a wonderful fragrance from MANOS GERAKINIS. Used to be my #1 favorite fragrance from this house until Methexis came out. And finally, as I said, Methexis is my favorite fragrance from this house. Although Immortelle and Methexis I feel like are top notch from this house. Those of you that love gourmand fragrances definitely should check out these fragrances. I'm a gourmand lover. I speak a lot about gourmand fragrances, and that's why these two happen to be my favorite. I'm a little fallen out of love with oud, so this one, Quintessence, is not as exciting for me, but the gourmands are always top notch, and these two are really delicious, especially this one. Maurice created this one. He does a lot of Xerjoff fragrances, so this is delicious. If you like Xerjoff's fragrances, you must get your nose on Methexis, because to me it reminds me of some of those fragrances he's created over at Xerjoff. Maurice is a perfumer that does a lot of different fragrances for a lot of different houses, and he's created a really great one here. So Methexis features notes of figs, and as I was saying early on, fruit and the leaves of the fig tree are prominent in here for me. And not only am I getting the fruitiness of the figs, I'm also getting the leaves. There's definitely green thing running, or green bitterness, green leafiness running throughout the fragrance, which makes it really delicious. I like that about it, because it's balanced out with some sweetness. There's cacao here, there's definitely honey, dried fruits, cinnamon, vanilla, benzoin, musk, amber, blackcurrant, cedarwood, vetiver. So yes, it does dry down to woods, but along the way you'll experience the fruitiness from the blackcurrant and the figs, and I was saying the leaves of the fig tree as well, really delicious. But you do have a chocolatey touch, and this is not dark chocolate. There's definitely a creamy milkiness about this. Even though it's cacao, they mentioned cacao, I get a creamy milkiness with this one, and a milk chocolate type consistency. And perhaps it's the fact that they've got lots of honey here. It's smooth, it's creamy, it's molassesy, it's gooey. That's definitely prominent here. And then the dried fruits. Love this note in fragrances. Always love them because they create, I love dried fruits. I eat them all the time. Apricots and figs and plums and prunes and things like that. Really, really delicious. And you can totally experience it here and the way they act when you're eating them. But along the way you have amber and then some musk here. And of course, as I was saying, it's settling to woods. It's a super delicious gourmand fragrance. And I like that. I don't have any gourmand fragrances that has that greenness running throughout it, because as I'm saying, keep repeating myself, figs, you experience the fruit and you also experience the leaves here, and that's kind of a breath of fresh air for this fragrance, because as I was saying, gourmand fragrances generally don't have green leaves running through it. This one does, and it makes for a really delicious wear. Anyway, Methexis, my favorite of the collection that I'm talking about today, although Immortelle is close behind it, but Methexis is top notch and I absolutely love it. So those are my thoughts on these 3 fragrances from Manos Gerakinis Parfums. Have you tried these fragrances? Let me know. If this is the first time you're hearing about this house, which fragrance sounds great to you? And as I was saying, if you are gourmand lovers, you must get your nose on Immortelle and Methexis. If you're into the idea of leathery oud fragrances, kind of beastly, definitely check out Quintessence. But let me know your thoughts. Put some comments down so I can find out. And definitely, if you're near those stores, definitely go check them out. I have a link to Manos Gerakinis Parfums in the info box. You can check out the fragrances on the website. And the cool thing about the Manos Gerakinis Parfums website, there's photos related to each of the fragrances and also a notes breakdown with notes, photos or images as well. So it's really cool. You should definitely go check out the fragrances on the website as well. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.